to invite people up to take a light and then take a seat. Thanks.
Starting with how good. Butterfly. And the screen will make it big. That's good. You have a refugee rock.
In the jungle near the transit centre on Manus Island. Our first thoughts are with his family, his cousin who is still being held in detention on Manus Island, his family back home in Iran, and the many people who shared in the last 4 years of AHMED's life, both on Manus Island and here in Melbourne at MITA. I spoke to AHMED on occasions over a 6-month period between October 2015 and March 2016, just before he was at his sickest. Almost his first words to me were about how tired he was. And his last words followed the 2016 Palm Sunday rally, where he had seen photos online of our protests. And his last words were, "Thank you, Australian people." On the 15th of June last year, I was notified by AHMED's cousin about a serious situation facing AHMED. He was very, very sick. And I sent the Chief Medical Officer, John Brayley, a text message and followed it up with an email. Dear John, it's been reported to me that Hamid Shemshirapur, HGD 48, who is currently on Manus Island, has had a series of psychotic episodes. His friends called Whiskey Team last week because they were concerned about his behaviour, but the ERT arrived instead and he was taken to jail. Hamid is currently in MAA, that's the managed accommodation area, where he tried to escape by climbing the fence. It's imperative that you act to get AHMED to a safe place where he can be seen by a psychiatrist and assessed. The detention centre, where assaults by staff occur with impunity, is not a safe place for anyone, let alone someone who has been made mentally unstable by the years of incarceration. Please let me know the actions you have undertaken to protect this vulnerable man from security, ERT and PNG police. There are many text messages between myself and John Brayley, many email messages between myself and John Brayley and doctors within Doctors for Refugees. One of those occasions, one of the text messages I received back from John Brayley was, "Please keep me informed as to how AHMED is." I think to myself, wait one moment, he's the Chief Medical Officer and I'm a refugee advocate. Why is he asking me about the health of someone who is in an Australian-run detention centre? There were many emails, there were many text messages. And in February this year, I wrote to Comcare, who's the regulator of the 2011 Work Health and Safety Act. It has jurisdiction on both Manus and Nauru. I gave them all of the information I had concerning AHMED Shamshirapur, and I quoted the sections of the Act that I believed had been breached. And I requested a prohibition notice that could be sent to authorities in Canberra, where they could be told to bring AHMED here. I asked for, and it still is in the process of being assessed, a prosecution against those who are most responsible for exposing AHMED to the risks to his health and safety that have led to the sad events of this week. We tried. There are a lot of doctors in Doctors for Refugees who tried. And I wasn't the only advocate. There were a lot of other people continually asking the department, asking the minister, asking the Chief Medical Officer to do something because the life of this young man was at risk. But nothing happened. Nothing changed. He was sent to the transit centre, even though his refugee status at that time I had thought was negative. How could he have signed to say that he was happy to resettle in PNG in the middle of psychotic episodes, in the middle of being in jail? How was he of sound mind to say that he was willing to go to the transit centre where there was less health care, where he had to fend for himself, where he had to sort out his own money, the food, buy his own medications, where there was no psychiatric care, and where AHMED only visited once a week on a Friday? There is no reason why we can't have government policy that focuses on refugee assessments and getting those right in a timely manner, rather than a focus on incarceration and the denial of safety and protection. That's how I would like to be treated if it was me, if I was seeking asylum, if I was asking a country for protection. I would want to be treated with dignity and with respect. I would want to be listened to. That's what I would expect if I came to a country that espoused its commitment to upholding human rights and had a healthy, free democracy like we are supposed to have. Instead, we are here gathered tonight, and our thoughts are with AHMED's friends and with his family and with all those other people who are still on Manus and Nauru, who are in as much danger as AHMED has been over the past 4 years. We need to keep gathering, we need to keep calling on our politicians and others to change the policies that are happening because they are killing people. So thank you very much for being here this evening. Thank you. Our first speaker tonight, after me, is Pamela Curr, who knew Hamed from many, many visits to MITA, and she got to know him very well. So I'd like you to make Pamela Curr welcome. Thank you.
It's another sad night, isn't it? For us to remember someone who should not have died. This is the 7th death in offshore detention. 7 lives lost through murder, through violence, through suicide, and through medical neglect. It's not a good record for this country. But tonight we are here to show to Hamed's family that he did not, and that he will not, and he will never be forgotten. And I would like you who've got photographs of Hamed to hold them up so that the photographers can take pictures, which we will send to Hamed's family to let them know that the people of Melbourne are paying their respects to their son. Hamed's family are now represented by a lawyer, and he will make sure that these photographs reach the family and offer them some comfort, some small comfort for losing a son so far away. I knew Hamed because he used to, when he had a problem with his hip and his knee, and he needed orthopaedic treatment. When it was a little bit better, he started to play indoor soccer. And he used to come to my house on Friday nights with the other guys for pizza. Sometimes, if they were lucky, they'd get Iranian dinners, not cooked by me, but there were many families who helped out. And for a small respite from that detention centre environment. I wasn't in the country when Hamed was taken away, but I was talking to someone today who said that he was taken out at 2 a.m. and just vanished. He was still receiving treatment. People knew that he was unwell, and as Margaret's told you, she was sending letters and emails to John Brayley, the Surgeon General. So was I, and we are not alone. There are others, perhaps in this crowd here tonight, who know that they too spoke out for Hamed, and nobody listened. Nobody listened. Even in June last 2016, when he was so unwell. And now Hamed is gone. But he will not be forgotten, and we will make sure that his family get his things back, and that they get recompense, and that they're represented, and we find out what happened, because to be quite honest, nobody really knows what happened. The second thing we do tonight is we stand here in solidarity with the people in Manus and Nauru who are facing a life-threatening situation. Our government wants to mow down their camps and walk away and leave them. The people on Manus and Nauru have demonstrated in a silent way their strength and their resistance. And I'm asking you tonight, if you just for one moment do what they are doing in respect for Hamed and also in solidarity with them, and we will take a picture and we will send it through to them and let them know again, the people of Melbourne stand with them. You know what they're doing, you know how to do it. And we will be back, won't we? Night after night, day after day, week after week, until the government listens to us and does what they should. Bring them here. Bring them here, evacuate the camps, and bring them to safety. Thank you.
We're going to have a minute's silence now, so I'm just going to invite everyone to hold up their lights. Hold up their lights, and we're just going to have a minute's silence. Thank you so much.
In my life, as an Iranian, freedom is always smells like blood. We're kind of happy for AHMED here because he could literally get out of this hell after all. After 4 dark years, he's now in a better place in peace. Join our other martyrs. We won't stop resisting against the big bad Australians. We'll do it no matter how many more years it takes. We choose standing dead, but not to live on knees. Thank you for your precious support, which keeps us going that far. May humanity remembers you forever.
Okay, we now have another speaker. It's Janelle Quincy, who's a long-standing activist and has recently returned from Manus Island. She'll be speaking. She'll be reading out a statement from Janet Galbraith, another long-standing activist. So we look forward to hearing those words.
I'm a lot shorter than you. Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge the beautiful land of the Wurundjeri on which we gather here today and every day, and I pay my respects to Indigenous peoples past, present and future. I'd like to acknowledge all the asylum seekers and refugees who have attempted to come to our shores and not made it. I'd like to acknowledge all the asylum seekers and refugees who have made it to our shores but have died here from the Australian policy. I acknowledge AHMED, his family, his friends, his community. I know there are many of us here today who met him in Melbourne prison camp, and we met him again in Manus not long ago. My friend Janet Galbraith cannot be here today, and she has asked that we read a piece that she wrote about her friend AHMED, a human being like me, like you. I'll read it. Dearest AHMED, when we first met at MITA, you were so shy, but we got to know each other and would exchange the warmest, loving hugs. Your hugs were the best, and your smile. Sometimes you would look into the distance, kind of lost in some other place, but you'd soon return and we would speak of music. I like to sing too. You had such a big, gentle energy. That's how I experienced you. A big, gentle energy that embraced me. We saw each other weekly for many months, until suddenly you were gone. They had taken you back to Manus. I was shocked. Sometimes we sent words to each other. You often spoke of wanting to take care of the more vulnerable men there, and early on you really seemed to believe that you would survive it. I remember hearing you as the trauma and torture began to infuse you. I remember hearing your voice loud, now different. I will never forget the first time I saw you in Manus. I was at the police cells calling out to another man. Sorry. Who was locked in there, and I heard someone yelling my name. I turned to see a skinny man I did not recognize, until you smiled. Your eyes were still huge, and your smile too. We embraced, spoke a little, and walked together. Over the times I was there, I got to know more of how things were now there for you. It horrified me, it bewildered me. I remember that often, if I sat somewhere like on the bench at the police station, you would sit close to me for a short time, or on the bus tree branch, or near the courthouse before you would get moving on again. You helped me negotiate buying Bruce for the first time. It seemed that wherever I was, when you were not in jail, because you had had another psychotic break, you were close by. You were known in town, you were often there. I remember you told stories. Some made sense and some didn't. You told me of the reefs and islands and how birds and boats would come and go. We would reminisce of people in Melbourne. I can't believe it, AHMED. I can't believe it, but I knew it was going to happen. You were abused so terribly and mercilessly. I loved you. I am so sorry to your family and friends. I'm furious and so sorry for such immense suffering, especially over the last year and a bit. That was too much for anyone, and you were so alone in it. AHMED, I am grateful for those deep hugs. May Australia, this occupying illegal nation, know the cruel pain of vengeance. May there be beautiful music and smiles surrounding and soothing you, who are beloved of the earth, moon, stars and sun. You are beloved by many, Janet. I personally would like to say to the Australian government, to all the political parties, enough. Too many deaths, too much torture, too many rapes. Enough of putting people in cages. Where is your humanity? Amir Taginia and those on Manus sent us a video. It's on the Refugee Action Collective Facebook page. They want to thank us for protesting and they ask to be rescued. Let us say to those on Manus, on Nauru, on Christmas Island, here in Melbourne and all across Australia in these hellhole prison camps, that we are here and we are not going anywhere. We will not stop protesting. We know you are fighting hard. We are here, we are fighting hard. Let's fight. Thank you.
Thanks, Janelle. We did have another speaker lined up, but she unfortunately couldn't make it, but she did send in a statement. The person is Naz Almazi, and she's an asylum seeker from Iran. So I'll just read out her statement now. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming here to light a candle for AHMED. Sorry I couldn't join you. I have a really bad flu, otherwise I would be with you. For just a moment, let's all remember why AHMED and other asylum seekers, including myself, have fled their countries. We've escaped for the fear of our lives, for our safety. We've escaped from the injustice and all the cruelties going on in our homes, hoping to seek asylum in a safe and free country. Since 4 years ago, we've seen innocent people, children, women suffering in such terrible conditions in Manus Island and Nauru. Several innocents have been found dead, whom their death could have been surely prevented if they were treated as humans. Now the question is, with everything that has happened since 4 years ago, including the death of innocent people in Australian detention centres, in your name, is Australia still a safe and free country? I leave you with this question, but please be aware that if you don't do something for these people now, you will not have an answer for your children, the next generation of Australia, when they will be questioning you why you didn't do something while these innocent people were suffering in such inhumane conditions. In my name, thank you. So, AHMED's family have demanded that his body be returned to Australia because they don't trust the PNG police to properly investigate the cause of his death. He had as people have heard, he had very serious mental health challenges, and instead of getting the help that he needed and was entitled to, which only he could get in Australia really, he was thrown in prison. He was beaten by PNG police, and so it's really important that his body be brought here. and a full investigation done, just as his family wanted. But really, this shouldn't have happened. This death was completely unnecessary, and he should have been brought here when he was alive, just as the other 7 who are no longer with us should have been brought here when they were alive, and the rest of them who are now there and continuing to suffer should be brought here now. And it's important to remember that, you know, these people are Australia's responsibility, no matter how much you know, the Liberals and the Labor opposition continue to claim that it is a matter for the Papua New Guinea and Nauruan governments. But in the leaked transcript of Donald Trump and Malcolm Turnbull's conversation last week, Turnbull actually told Trump that they are under our supervision, as everyone knew, as was shown in the $70 million compensation payout to the Asylum. End offshore.
End offshore. End offshore. End offshore. End offshore. End offshore. End offshore. End offshore. End offshore. End offshore. End offshore. End offshore. End offshore. End offshore. End offshore. End offshore.
No more deaths. No more deaths. No more deaths. No more deaths.
No more deaths. No more deaths. No more deaths. No more deaths. No more deaths. No more deaths. No more deaths. No more deaths.
Bring them here. Bring them here.
Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here. Bring them here.
We're going to end the vigil by walking down to the river and scattering the flowers that are here. So before we go, you should grab some, and we'll do that together. But before we do that, I'll just let people know about our next big event. It'll be a much bigger rally than this. We've been planning it for a bit longer. It's on October the 8th at 2 o'clock at the State Library, and it's to end offshore processing, call on the government to close the camps and bring them here. And we want you to go back to work, tell people what you heard tonight, tell them about the crime that offshore processing is and the murders that have happened over the last 4 years, and get people at your work to come to the next rally and get your friends to come. We want to make them as big as possible so that the government and the Labor opposition can't ignore these rallies. The Labor leadership are coming under pressure. We've got a lot of union support for our